Yeah, wow. Safe to say, I didn't expect to be making this video, at least not so soon. I'm not a stranger to Friday Night Funkin'. I became a fan back in 2020 and 21 when weeks 2 and 3 were out, and I followed the game and the modding scene for about a year or two before I fell out of love with the direction that the community was going. My first ever successful commentary video talked about this experience. It talked about how I felt about FNF and what being in the community meant to me. To this day, I stand by everything I said in that video, and I like to think that I wasn't too far off the mark when I said Creepypasta would be the showrunner from there onward. But I'm not here to talk about that. Well, maybe a little. What you need to know, what you probably already know, is that Friday Night Funkin' updated. Yes, Ninja Muffin and the guys decided to peek up at that top-secret bunker they're all hiding in and show us just the tiniest sliver of what they're cooking up down there. Following week 7 and the whole Kickstarter thing, the vocal groans and skeptic glares as the time passed would have been impossible to ignore. For the average fan, the type not bothered to keep up with blog posts or whatever, wanted to know that the team didn't just scoop up the cash and did a runner. Not to say that I ever doubted, but you know how the internet is. Anyhow, we got it. We got a taste. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. But is it everything that we hoped for? Alright, before we get started, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm about to pander to the haters. Let's get this out of the way. The update is far from bad. It starts with a fantastically animated cutscene with that familiar, satisfying Phantom Arcade art style. I don't think I'll ever get tired of his blend of cute and grrr. I mean, just look at Pico slapping that shit up. He's going ham with those lips. The fact that the cutscene track incorporates the sound fonts of the characters and lines up with what's going on is such wonderful attention to detail. If it wasn't obvious from the get-go, the amount of love that the FNF team have for their roots is just suffocating at times. And then we get onto the tracks, which weren't bad. This Nene and Darnell sprite have been circulating for so long it's almost jarring to see it officially implemented. Though, let me circle back and reiterate how I felt when playing the actual game. Oh, it's not bad. Not, oh my god, or holy shit. Just, yeah. This works. This is good. And why is that? Why did I feel like that? When I started to play Hotline 024 and broadcasting played, I was blown away in the comfort of my own home. When I played Sonic.exe and Triple Trouble started, I sat down, pursed my lips and said, I guess we're doing it like this then. And in the middle of that train of thought, it came to me. It's because of those things that I couldn't feel anything else. FNF has had the unfortunate blessing of having a very talented community. And this is not putting down the FNF crew because each and every one of them is absolutely amazing at what they do. But there's no denying that since the game released, so many artistic individuals have put their thoughts onto the canvas and given us such overwhelming experiences. You know how they say that a seasoned chef will over or undersalt their dishes because they've just become so numb to it? That's sort of what it feels like. As players, we've been seasoned, but I don't really think that detracts from the enjoyment I had from this update. When I think back to the times, simpler times when Friday Night Funkin' came out, I never once recalled having the words taken out of my mouth forcibly. It was always good, but it was simple and clean fun. An homage to classic Newgrounds games. It never set out to be more than what it was. It was only when mods came around and began to escalate things, raise the bar, make tropes, adhere to tropes, that I suddenly began to develop this notion of what FNF should be like, whether conscious or unconscious. The music should be complex and overbearing, the UI should explode, the sound font should be unique, and to me, that's not very fair. The base game is a base. It is a foundation that many people have took and built their own upon. Some people built nice cozy cottages, others small homes. Some underwent large-scale construction to scrape the skies, many of which had their projects come crashing down due to one reason or the other. I'm sure there's a log somewhere of all the accounts of occurrence. To ask the base to build upon what is already on top of it seems like an unreasonable ask. And this has been a problem whispered in the back ends of the community for as long as time itself has existed. Will FNF be able to compare to what the community has made it into? The music, the engines, the characters, the vibe. Will FNF be able to keep up? Or is it a relic, an old-timer in the scene? When you have things like Hotline 024 coming up, or Rodent Rap, or whatever the latest iteration of the .exe is happening, I don't know. Can the FNF crew step up their game to match pace? The simple answer: yes. I mean, look how much money they raised in the Kickstarter, for fuck's sake. The nuanced answer: it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because, at the end of the day, FNF is made by a bunch of dudes who just want to make what they think is cool. But that's not really what I'm talking about. The job of the Foundation isn't to build itself higher, it's to build itself stronger, to take what it's made of and make it more rock steady. It doesn't have to do more, it has to do what it does, but better. And call me crazy, but I think Weekend 1 does just that. It returns the music to feeling like a back and forth call and response battle rather than a blasting duet that takes all the elements and crams it together for a spectacle. The vocals become the main melody rather than an addition to it, except for Too Hot, but that track follows a very rigid structure that makes all its elements feel cohesive rather than explosive. Earlier mods like Cassette Girl and Garcello felt like this. They were fresher off the tail following bass FNF, and it showed. Darnell's grungy radio voice really stands out amidst the slow, purposeful kicks and synth, and makes it very obvious that the crew believes you don't have to do everything to make something good. I've already talked about the classic Phantom Arcade art style, and boy, I really will never get tired of it. It pops while being so easy to recognize with big and bold lines and features, something that I myself am a big fan of and like to incorporate in my own art. The ending screen is a nice touch. It reminds me of Sonic days, Sonic Rush, Sonic Unleashed, literally every Sonic game, I guess. You can see that the budget is going places. If anywhere, definitely the animation and art. That opening sequence is probably what they want to give all future weeks, and it is smooth as butter. One thing that this update has shown me is that even after the community gave it its best shot, the animation team behind the original can stand with its head held high. There have been a couple of really good mods in terms of animation recently, but there's just something about the coherency and smoothness of what money can buy that really keeps your attention. And what I'm also not trying to say is that the FNF crew can't take famous aspects of the community and embed it into the base game. I mean, look at the secret 4th song of the weekend, where Pico and Darnell do their best impression of the end of Metal Gear. That's any Hideo Kojima game, putting nuts to butts and solving all their problems with their fists. Creatively, they decided to cut all vocals and have the characters just throw punches to the beat, having Darnell move in time to the beat separate from yourself. It's a very cool decision. Honestly, it reminded me of the animations by Chino that started with Versus Mad. What a blast from the past, huh? And even within the credits, you can see that the team isn't afraid of their community. They aren't scared about not living up to the hype. You have Saruki, Sasta, and Cade Dev up on there, some of the most prominent contributors to the modding scene. The FNF crew are acutely aware of how talented their community is. The love that they had for their own creation brought on and inspired many to show theirs. And so, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no reason to be scared. When all's said and done, FNF is a group project. Or at least that's what it feels like. Now, I'm not saying that all FNF fans should feel entitled to have their ideas shoved into the game. God knows nobody wants that. I'm just saying that the team isn't afraid to look at the good shit that comes out of the community and go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I wonder what it'd look like if we put our twist on it. Got these people on and asked them, how do you make this work? I mean, you'd know. We saw what you can do. Strengthening the parts that make the base game good without overcrowding it with everything that made the modding community what it was. That's the essence of this update. That's what they wanted to show us. It doesn't have to be flashy or special or knock your socks off amazing. It just has to be cool. And all the parts that stand out, well, they stand out. But at the end of the day, FNF needs to be something that anyone can just pick up and play without much mind to it. Because that's what most Newgrounds games were. Just click, click, and get stuck in. No crazy distracting UI, no 4 AM radio songs, just vibes. And thank the Lord they didn't have me pressing space to shoot down Darnell's spray cans. Now that would have been some resurface trauma. One thing I said about original FNF was that the difficulty didn't really exist. Any difficulty stemmed from the engine, but that's a thing of the past. If you want a challenge now, you've got one, because there's like a dozen remix tracks in the promised erect versions, and damn, they slap. If the official weekend tracks were strengthening what made FNF FNF, these erect tracks channel that modded energy. These tracks go hard. Oh, and if you're wondering where Saruki's involvement was in this update, well, here it is. Believe me, I was playing some of these for background footage, and some of the licks had me thinking to myself, huh, that sounds like something Saruki would make. Honestly, kind of crazy how that's just become part of my FNF mindset, but it is what it is. Man, when is Hotline 024 coming out? These erect tracks let the composers dive and lean more heavily into things that would be less inviting for newer players due to the sheer ferocity of it. Thorns goes full electro, kind of dubstep, Dad Battle has heavy D&B vibes, Pico's beats get heavy, High takes the harmonies beyond high, all of it feels like it'd be the standout song in a mod. If anything, I honestly feel like the highlights of this update were these erect tracks. I had fun fun playing them. They feel really nice to press keys to, and that over anything else should be the goal of a game. Fun in the type of way where I feel like at any point I could open Newgrounds, pick one of these remixes, and play it for a good time. The loading times aren't so important where I'd be opposed to it, and at least it doesn't take up hard drive space like mods do, so this, combined with the weekend itself, is an exhibition about what can be put on the table, what is being cooked, and what will eventually be served by the kitchen and all of its staff. What's being promised shouldn't have to bear the weight of the entire modding scene on its shoulder, and if you assign it that responsibility, well, that's just egg on your face. The update has done its job. It's shown us that the money hasn't gone down a rabbit hole and the crew are being true to their word and only showing what needs to be shown at the appropriate time. It's functional, it's beautiful, and goddamn if it isn't fun. Sure, it's not gonna shake the very ground of the earth we tread on, but it's a damn good start on this long, long path to the full Funkin thing. And the best part is, the fandom's existed for give or take 3 years at this point, so the lunatics riding the wave should have all left. Huh. If that's the case, who's this video for? Don't be comparing the apples to the tree. Just sit back, relax, and watch it all grow. Only then will you finally be able to have fun with things. Bye-bye.